Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to episode 94 of the Daily List Report. We've got a great show for you today. We've got Angie Cole on. Angie's with Cole Realty. She's based in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. She's been named Top 30 under 30 realtors in the country by Realtor magazine. She's been featured on HGTV's House Hunters, one of the top 10 teams in the triangle, as they call it. She'll clarify that, but I think that's the research triangle. And there's a handful of cities in the Raleigh area that comprise that. Let me pull up her website here real quick. We got acolerealty.com is Angie's website. You can take a look at sort of how they're approaching marketing, what their presence on the web looks like. We're also going to talk to her a little bit about the radio show that she does, as well as her podcast, The Savy Realtor. And we'll post the links to both of these things as well, right? So as we've talked about finding ways to market yourself, ways to put yourself out there, we're going to get Angie's perspective on that. While you're here, of course, please consider subscribing to our channel. Click the little bell to be notified. And without further ado, I'm going to bring Angie on right now. Angie, welcome to the show, and say hello to the agentpreneurs of ListReports.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Angie. Thanks for doing this and taking some time today. I love it when guests take a moment to introduce themselves. I want everybody to get a chance to get to know who Angie Cole is. So, Angie, why don't you just give a quick introduction on yourself and maybe how you got into real estate so people can get to know you a little bit better?
Sure. So I obtained my real estate license when I was 22. It was actually a month after I had my littlest one. So single mom, jumped into the real estate field. And so I've been actively practicing for about 13 years now. I started off in new home sales, working for builders as an on-site agent, then transitioned over into general brokerage, decided to join a team, and I was specifically a buyer specialist. It eventually got to the point that I realized most of my business was self-generated, so it only made sense to open up my own team. And so I opened up my own team, Cole Realty, back in October of 2013. And then we decided to branch off and break away from, a brick and mortar of a bigger name and start our own firm. So we started our own firm, which is still Cole Realty, in July of 2016. And this year we've really just taken off with growing our team as far as, more manpower per se, because we have the amount of business to do it. And there are currently 18 of us within our team. And this year we're on target to close probably around 375 homes.
That's fantastic, Angie. That's amazing. So, I didn't realize this when we were chatting, but you're actually fully independent.
That is correct. Yeah.
That's an interesting decision. So, even people with tons of business aren't independent. So what fueled that choice? I think our audience would be interested in hearing about that.
Yeah, honestly, it's knowing your numbers. And so, we were under the umbrella of Keller Williams, which I absolutely adore and love Keller Williams. And they're amazing as far as the culture and the training. But, once you've been in the business for long enough, you know what you're doing per se. Although I loved working within that firm, just looking at our numbers and realizing that, hey, we can keep a lot more in our pockets. We can, take that money and utilize it in other marketing aspects. And so it only made sense for us to just go off on our own. And it was a scary leap, to make that transition. You don't know if, hey, are we going to lose potential clients because they want to work with an agent that's under a big name? But, we didn't skip a beat. Business has continued to grow every single year, and it's been a great move for us.
Did you find, so it sounds like what you found is that the people that you're working with when you left sort of the mothership, so to speak, right, didn't really care. Is that a fair statement?
That's 100% right. Yeah. It's funny because, oftentimes I would go on a listing presentation and meet with a seller, and I started bragging about the firm name, and they were like, wait, who is that? So people want to work with you. And I tell, our team members the exact same thing. They might not even know that you're with Cole Realty, but they want to work with you because they love you and they trust you. So I think that's important to remember.
Has it been tough for you as a broker owner to provide the tools and the technologies, right? So ostensibly one of the benefits, right, of working for a Keller Williams or something like that is some of the tools that they offer you. So how has that been for you?
Yeah, honestly, there has been absolutely no hiccups. I'm always big on not trying to recreate the wheel and, doing what's working. And so a lot of the things that I learned earlier on in my career, we just moved that straight over to our firm. Nothing changed per se. Of course, we had to, redo like our green sheets on how the agents got, paid. But as far as like our systems and technology, we continued utilizing the same systems as which we did previously. Here and there, we make tweaks. We implement new systems, to make sure that we're standing out in front of the rest. But yeah, I mean, it hasn't been, I guess, a tough transition doing it on our own. We've now actually created an amazing training, program modules for our agents. So yeah, I mean, there's great things that you learn and you benefit from with being with a large firm, but you can get all that with our firm too.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. I know we didn't anticipate Angie going this direction in the conversation, but I do think this is an interesting topic. Is this, let's see, we're just getting to know each other, right? Is the honest truth, right? So is this like kind of who you are? Are you just sort of this hard charging, like take control, I'm going to do it my own? Like, is that who you are? Or?
I wouldn't say that's who I am. I actually, I am one of those people that I always want more. I'm never happy with doing the same amount of business as what we did previously. And if we are, something's wrong. There's no reason why, all of us shouldn't be growing, right? Because if we did a great job of servicing our clients, they should be referring business to us. We should get repeat business. So, as a team and our numbers, we should always be growing. But when I was on a team and I was a buyer specialist, honestly, I never had this vision of I want to own my own team, run my own team. I was completely fine doing the business I was doing, and being under someone else's name. Now, within that team, I always wanted to grow. I was, if I was doing, 50 transactions one year, I want to do now 60 the following year. I kind of felt forced to make this move and felt, pushed to do it because, again, looking at my numbers, I realized, okay, the benefit of being on a team is they should be providing you the leads and the leverage to help you to be super successful. And that's why you pay them a portion of your split, right?
That's right.
And I wasn't receiving that like I had in the past. And again, most of the business generated that I was closing was personal business. So why am I paying someone else, if I'm the one doing the work? So it kind of was a forced move, which I'm so happy, of course, that all came to light. But I wouldn't say that, this was my 3-year, 5-year plan to eventually own my own team and, own firm. So it just kind of happened that way.
No, that makes sense, right? Sometimes, circumstance is there, or like you said, maybe one day you just looked down and you thought about the numbers and you're like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. And you moved on and you adapted, which is very admirable. And that's really cool to hear, Angie.
Thank you.
So your company's motto is enthusiastic team, guided experience, happy clients.
Yeah.
And one of the super simple, which is awesome. But one of the things that I try to talk about, I do talk about a lot on this show, is this idea of brand authenticity, right? That the best brand that you can build is one that is authentic to who you are, right? Understanding who you are and being known for something is better than being known for, in your mind, everything, which is nothing in reality. And so talk to me a little bit about sort of, those pillars of your motto, and that enthusiastic team is first is interesting to me. So I'd be curious to hear from you why that's there and why that's first.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you're hearing a little bit of background. Clearly in my office, they're out there doing some landscaping. Perfect timing.
No problem. Work from home. It's all good.
Yeah. But, number one reason why I believe any client wants to work with an agent is because of the person they're having those interactions with, right? Personalities, have to mesh. They have to enjoy, having conversations with you. I mean, they will continue to work with you for quite some time and they're almost married to you. And so, our team dynamic as far as personality wise, our presence, that's important. So, we did put that first because, we are an enthusiastic team. I mean, we actually get that compliment a lot where, people say, you know what, I just want to work with you guys because you'll have so much fun. Yeah. And we want our clients to feel the same way. We want them to enjoy the process. There's going to be fires that need to be put out. There's going to be bumps and, whatnot along the road of a transaction, which can happen with any, real estate process. But you know what? Throughout that, we always want to be the confident, the positive ones. We want to make sure that we're kind of hiding the negativity and all they're seeing is just the excitement throughout the process.
Well, it's a really interesting one, right? And I can see that kind of coming through with you. And by the way, I share that kind of thing. Like if I had, that might be my first, line in my motto as well, right? So it's infectious and people like that. But there's another reason why it's interesting, which is that the real estate transaction for a buyer, let's just say, we'll just pick one side of the coin. In our experience and the research that we've done, it starts off as this moment where you're like, we're going to buy a house, right? And it should be the most exciting thing ever. And then you get into the process and you're looking at home after home and you can't find the right fit. And now you're thinking about compromises. And in this market, you're making an offer that's not getting accepted and another offer. And I was talking to a loan officer on the show last week. And he's like, I have an agent who, they wrote like 7 offers, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, from a consumer's perspective, think about that for a second. Think about if you're going to go buy a house and you end up with your seventh choice, right? Like that's pretty depressing. There's not a lot of things in life where we end up with our 7th choice, right? Not even like our partners usually, like maybe 2nd or 3rd, but not 7th, right? So it's just, I don't know how you think about that or how you think about your role in helping buyers. Again, we're just taking buyers right now because it's a deeply frustrating experience buying a house.
And all we can do on our end is keep positive for them. It's frustrating for us as well, right? I mean, time is money per se. And who likes writing up an offer, pulling comparables only for it to be rejected and not accepted? Sure. And here in the Triangle market, so we cover, you had mentioned that previously, we cover, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. We go about an hour radius. We're now into the Fayetteville market as well. But that's the Triangle for us. But, it is a super strong seller's market right now. Very, very low inventory. And I know a lot of other markets are feeling that pressure as well.
Here in Southern California.
So keeping our buyers just excited about the process and just confident and just letting them know that, hey, we're here for them, and just we can't get down because we can't allow them to get down, right? And so even though they're losing homes, you know what? They're eventually going to win out on a home that they absolutely love, and that's what our goal is. But our goal, whether it was ups and downs, and it was a roller coaster ride throughout the process, we want to be remembered of, hey, they were always looking out for us in our best interest. That they were a light whenever there was like the dark times. And so, the energy of the team is very important, and the energy of the agent that you're working with is super important as well.
No, that makes perfect sense. And then you have guided experience. So those words seem intentional to me, right? You're guiding them through this process.
Hand-holding. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer, you're, an experienced buyer, you're downsizing, you've sold 20 homes before. It's always a new process. And especially if you're moving from state to state, we see clients that are very quick to say, oh, I know how this works. And I'm like, nope, brand new contract. Yes. There's new terminology. There's new steps. And so, we want to make sure, and we make sure that we're always one step ahead of the process. This is what you can expect. This is coming up next. We never want someone to come to us and say, well, what now? What do I do next? So guided, just process and experience is just making sure that we're always one step ahead and we're hand holding. Everyone needs a little bit different amounts of hand holding, but still we almost would rather, educate too much than undereducate.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I did a show with an agent that I love in the San Diego area, Mary Maloney, and we talked about this methodology, this framework called Story Brand. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but when you use the words guided experience, it's important, and it's a great episode. So we'll link to it, so all of you watching right now can check that one out as well. But the premise, Angie, is this: that you're the guide, the customer is the hero, right? You're not the hero, the customer is the hero. And your role is as a guide to help them navigate sort of the treacherous path to success in buying or selling a home. And so I like the word guided experience, and I don't mean to dwell on this. I just think that these words are intentional. I think they're important. And I think that that also frames nicely the role that you have versus the role that your client has, which is you are there to guide them. They are the hero of the journey. They are the ones who want to become the homeowner or sell their home successfully.
Yeah, it's all about them. Just how can we facilitate it to make the process as seamless and smooth as possible. But yeah, I mean, it's their time, and so it's all about them.
Absolutely, 100%. So fast forward now, right? So you start your company, and maybe a few years later, if my math is right here, you end up doing a radio show, the Savy Realtor radio show, which I think is every Saturday at 12 p.m. And if I'm not mistaken, it's on 106.1 FM ETKK.
Yeah.
All right. So if you are in the Raleigh-Durham area, we'll link to that. Make sure that you tune in and listen to Angie as the Savvy Realtor. So talk a little bit about how that came about. Was it your dream to have a radio show? I'm guessing no. And so how did this come about?
No, not at all. It was not a dream per se, but it's all kind of come to light. So actually the producer of the show, Walter, he approached me, and he has been in radio for, since probably straight out of college or even while in school. But he has been actively working with financial planners and doing shows with them, doing a radio show, doing podcasts with financial planners. And not only locally, just across the states. There's great technology like we're talking now. I mean, we don't have to be there, in the actual production studio to make it happen. So he, had this idea of, hey, how about I try to jump into the real estate world? And so he approached me and said, hey, here's my ideas. This would be your involvement. This is what I would need from you, but this is how I'd prepare you for all the shows. And, it was a win-win. It was a no-brainer to, hey, let's test this out. And so we did. And yeah, I think it's been about 3 years now we've been doing the show. And it is an every weekend show. But telling you a little bit of a secret, it is pre-recorded. It's actually funny because I'll get calls on my cell phone during the hour-long segment.
Oh, really?
People calling with listener questions, or trying to connect. I don't answer my phone at that time, but I follow back up with them. But it is a pre-recorded show, which is great too, because if you have a little blooper and the company needs to edit it, they can, right? But yeah, it's been great. It's one of those shows that, we give a lot of, informative information for both buyers, sellers, even agents. I have agents that reach out to me all the time and just, with follow-up questions or just, hey, great job. Of course, we started the show in order to pick up new business, sure, right? It's also been a great way just to kind of solidify our presence in the market. I've walked into listing presentations and someone says, you don't even have to go through all that. Like, we've already heard your show. We want to work with you. So, it's also a great opportunity where we can market our listings as well. There's no other agent in our market that can say, hey, I have a radio show and I can advertise your listing on it, which we do. Yeah. So yeah, it's been an amazing opportunity. It's great for branding. It's great for new lead generation, marketing, our listings. And I mean, it's been wonderful. So
I think that's fantastic. And I just have it up on screen here again right now, which is, this is a link just on Apple Podcasts, but it's available on Spotify, Android, any podcasting service. But Angie, these air on the radio. They also are converted to podcasts. So I think super easy for all of you out there. You can subscribe and you can listen to what Angie's talking about, which I think is really pretty cool, Angie. And I will echo some of what you said, right? Even with this show that we're doing right here, right? So I've been doing this now for, 4 months, right? This for us started during work from home, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do a show, right? We should talk to our users. And then I tend to overcommit. So I'm like, let's call it the Daily List Report. I'm going to do it every day, right? So I've done this every day since this pandemic and sort of work from home time period. But to your point, it's been interesting. And I think the lesson here for everybody out there, because we've talked about how to create a YouTube channel, how to market yourself, right, Angie, is that you can't necessarily just draw a straight line between what you're doing and your end result. So in your mind, you're like, I want leads, so I'm going to start a daily show so I can get leads. But to your point, my employees watch this show, and so they're learning. We've had vendors reach out to us. We've had friends of friends say, oh my gosh, I saw that show. Like, it goes into places that you sometimes just don't expect. But to your
Yeah.
point, it contributes to who you are and the brand that you're building. And I think that's one of the greatest values that it has.
Most definitely. And, you know, it's a great opportunity where we're able to also, you know, love on our vendors as well. Like you mentioned, throughout the show, we have different like questions that we're asking our vendors. For
Yes.
example, our stagers answering questions, our lenders, you know, home inspectors. So we're just given a lot of great information where I'm not always the expert, of course, you know, attorney questions. So it's a time to spotlight them as well. And
100%.
you know, it's helping everyone, you know, everyone we work with directly. And then also, again, I mean, we're meeting new people from the show too.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Angie, as we kind of wrap up here, I wanted to talk a little bit about just your perspective on the last 4 months, and I think in particular, you know, when we entered these crazy times that we're in right now, I think there was a lot of uncertainty. Well, there
Sure.
still is a lot of uncertainty, but there was because you know listings dried up, open houses disappeared, right? Everything sort of froze for a bit, and you know now you look at the data and there's like record high ownership and prices are increasing and there's no inventory. How just talk to me about how your mindset over the last 4 months. How did you go into this? How did you adapt? What did you change? And sort of what? How do you look forward here?
Yeah. So just like you said, I mean, I think we all were a little bit nervous, just the uncertainty, the, you know, unknown of what does this mean for us moving forward months from now. You know, so I would say for about 2 weeks when really just the pandemic just hit, you know, things just got a little bit quiet, you know, and we
Yeah,
all kind of had those freak out moments. But,
yeah,
you know, it was important for our team to keep that positivity alive. And, you know, we would get online, we would do our Zoom calls, you know, we would just, hey, what are your concerns? What are your fears? You know, what are you hearing from your clients? And our conversation with our clients changed at that point. You
hmm
know, we said, okay, instead of making that, you know, salesy per se call that it might feel a little bit more salesy in the past, you know, let's focus more on relationships, which we're always great on doing that, but let's ask them how they are doing.
yeah,
You know, hey, I know we connected in the past, you were thinking about selling your home, of course the pandemic's happening, do you still feel that way, you know? And also education was huge, because we would talk with potential clients and they would say, oh, I can't sell my home right now.
mm,
Why not? You know, we hear that same fear from other people, but actually let me show you and tell you how the market is right now. So just really being informative, you know, sharing our experiences, asking how people are doing and coming from, you know, care, that was important. So for about 2 weeks, I would say showings just dropped off significantly across the triangle market here. And
yeah,
then things were right back up. You know, we're ahead of pace. You know, last year we served 309 clients. Like I said, we're on target to do around 375 this year. We're ahead of pace this year. You know, we just in July just closed out 36 homes. I mean, things have not skipped a beat. You know, I would say if anything, like you mentioned, inventory levels are continuing to drop, but it could be a little bit of the pandemic, people concerned about having, you know, random people coming into their homes, right, with the
yeah,
fear of spreading, you know, COVID. But it's also in our market, it's, hey, we don't want to list our home until we can find one. Well, the market's so limited. So we're at an all-time low. We're below 5,000 homes on the market. We haven't seen that in over 30 plus years, that low of inventory. But, you know, we do have a lot more buyers in the market too, because we're having a lot of people relocate from busier areas, from the cities coming into our market. We are also seeing those people that maybe live in apartment housing that say, you know what, all of my amenities have been closed down. I need my own space, my own home.
that's
So,
right.
you know, it's a seller's market as far as the market still appreciating strongly because we have such low inventory, so supply and demand. And we also have an influx of buyers coming into our market right now. So we are in a very strong market. I really don't hear the conversations, honestly, as much as far as like COVID per se when it deals with housing.
Mm,
You know, it's kind of like back to normal for us. You know, none of us
hmm
can foresee the future, and you know, what does this mean as far as, you know, maybe, you know, people that have been, you know, furloughed or, you know, layoffs, and how will that affect the housing market? I don't know 100%, but I think our market here, and just based on research, is so strong that we really shouldn't be affected.
yeah. No, that's fantastic. Thank you for that detailed answer, Angie. I think that was really
So
helpful
like,
perspective. No, not too lengthy at all. I think it was a great answer, and you know, reaching out to your sphere and having these conversations, because you're right, there's a lot of fear and you can be there for them, but there's also, for lack of a better word, ignorance, right? I think there were some people who were like,
Yeah.
I can't sell my house right now. And you're like, you
Yeah.
absolutely can. And not only can you, this is a hell of a good time to sell your house,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Given what's happening with prices and inventory. So, Angie, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about today? Otherwise, we can wrap up. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you hit on some great key points, and hopefully this was informative. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it absolutely will be, Andrea, and hopefully we'll get a chance to have you on one day again in the future.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye. All right. So there you have it. Really great conversation. I hope you all enjoyed meeting Angie. Again, Angie Cole, acole.com. Sorry, I'm messing this up again. Let me pull it up here on the screen. acolerealty.com, and you can check out Angie's business, as well as the Savy Realtor. You can subscribe to the podcast, or if you're in the area, you can actually listen to it on Saturdays, which is pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed that chat. I know you all enjoy when we have amazing agents come on and talk about how they're doing business, how they set their values, how they're positioning themselves, what they're doing to market, and I think Angie embodies a lot of those things. So until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy, and we'll see you soon. Bye.